Nicole here, and welcome to another video. Today is all about assembling my DJI Ronin S gimbal with my Canon 5D Mark IV and a 35mm lens attached. Now, if you are thinking about getting the Ronin S or have the Ronin S, I ran into a few snags that I thought I would show you how I fix. But let's get into the gear. When it first arrives, you have this great styrofoam kit. And inside this kit, you will have three main components. You will have the stand, you will have the battery pack, and then you will have the main piece, which is the gimbal. The additional piece of gear that you have is actually attached to the camera. It's the slide that attaches to the gimbal, and then also something for the lens. Okay, so let's assemble. First task is to simply attach the battery to the extension pole. And you will see that there's two sections. Obviously, by the size of this one, it's going into the smaller compartment, but the larger one I was excited about because if I needed to add this to a tripod or maybe a monopod that I have, there's that option. So I like that as well. So simply attach those two, and now this opens up into a tripod. Great. Okay, so then the next task is to attach the gimbal head. And I found this piece of Velcro that I added just to keep those two secure. So if I can source it, I'll add it below. The next step is simply attaching the gimbal head to the base. And simple enough, just slide that in. Now this is where I ran into my first snag. So there's a great locking mechanism here. And as you can see, mine goes all the way to the lock. However, that was not the case when I was first putting it together. It was maybe halfway, maybe a little bit more. And in my research, all the forums were saying that this is fine, it's locked, no problem. But for me, I just felt uncomfortable with just kind of leaving it halfway. I just felt like there was an opportunity to snag, and I always want to protect the gear, especially with my Canon 5D Mark IV and my 35 prime lens. I'm always thinking about protecting the gear. So that didn't sit well with me. So I did additional research, and this is how I fixed it. So on the base of the gimbal, there's this silver section, and you'll see that that's actually with the toggle. There are 6 screws that you will need to release and open up. Now there is a spring that you want to be very careful of, that it doesn't go anywhere, but you're essentially just toggling it so then this section is now more flush. So then this section is more flush with the black components. When I first received it, it was recessed down a little bit, which I believe was causing the issue. Okay, once you have it adjusted just a little bit, you want to then put the screws back in, mount to the battery, test it, and see if that feels good. Okay. So now, once that issue is resolved, I can move forward to balancing my camera. And how I have this set up is the kind of joystick toggle thing in the back. I have that facing me. And on the plate, you'll see there's the Ronin logo, but there's a little arrow. And that arrow, I'm just gonna remove this Velcro, that arrow will be facing forward. So we have 3 main areas that we're balancing. We have the tilt, we have the pan, and we have the roll. So that's what we're concentrating on, balancing. Okay. To load this on to balance, I'm simply going from the front and sliding this in. Now, did you hear that click? That click tells you that it's locked. So it's not technically gonna fall out, but I always keep my hand on my camera, again, always protecting the gear. So I'm gonna slide this on, and I know with my 35 in my Canon 5D Mark IV, I know that for this roll, the bottom bar here, I know I need to bring this all the way. You can see that there's a space. I know I need to bring this all the way till it's touching to make a good balance. Oh, did you realize what I was doing wrong? Lens cap is on. Won't be filming with the lens cap, so that does throw off the balance. So let's see if I can, it's gonna be a little bit more. For the tilt, you're actually gonna tilt the camera so it's facing up to the ceiling, and you're gonna unlock the lock and push the bar so that it's sitting straight. And then you can tilt it forward and see if it's looking straight to you. And that is actually this, for this setup, is right at 4 at the top of the bar here, is at 4. And then for the pan down below, I'm 2 little dots after the half. That's my technical terms. So now we have a good balance. Now, once you load the app, you're gonna run a balance test. This is where I landed into my second snag. I did the balance test. For tilt, I had good. For pan and roll, I had excellent. And no matter what I did with the tilt, it looked so dead on, it was always good. So with further research and going through forums, I realized that there may be a need for a firmware update. So I have a Mac at home, so I found the DJI Pro Assistant. I went on their website and went to I just did a Google search for DJI Pro Assistant. I had to download the Mac driver, and for whatever reason, it wasn't loading onto my Mac because of the software update. So we had to go to a second type of driver for the Mac and essentially got that working. When it was time, once the driver was loaded and I could find the list of firmware updates, there were actually 6 updates that had to happen on this DJI Ronin S. So the cord that comes in the kit, I attached that to the Ronin S, attached that to the laptop, and did the firmware updates. Once the updates were complete, I didn't touch the camera again or the balance. I ran the balance test and everything was marked off as excellent. So that was another snag that I had that I wanted to share. Okay, so once you hit all the excellent levels, you're ready to go and start some amazing creative projects. Now, I had purchased the Essentials kit, so it did not come with the pulling the focus motor. So if I had, and if I do in the future, this is where it would be added. The kit that I do have came with a plate that you can mount the motor on there because that's an accessory, but that would be a next step if I needed to, but that would be mounted here. Okay. Lights. To turn it off, it seems so simple, but I just wanted to share that you actually click once, hold, and then all those green lights disappear. Okay. And then I'll unlock the top, so now I can slide the bar. Now, I'm only gonna go so far, because remember that initial click, it's locked in there. There is a release button right here that I push in, and then the camera comes sliding right off. Okay. All right, so I hope this answered some of the questions that I was faced when I was assembling this amazing gimbal. I can't wait to start some new creative projects with my DJI Ronin S. If you have any questions, just let me know. Hopefully